Before we get into today's episode about Antonio Brown going to the New England Patriots, I just want to let you guys know that today's episode is sponsored by SeatGeek. Of course, SeatGeek, you all know it, you all love it. It's the best place to get tickets to concerts, to events, and also to sporting events, which of course is probably what you guys would really use it for, since you probably do like sports if you're watching my YouTube channel. But if you've never used SeatGeek before, you can get $20 off your first purchase just by entering the promo code JKS. That's all you have to do, and the link is in the description below. So just click on the link, it'll take you right there to the page. You use the promo code JKS, and you'll get $20 off. So yeah, that's all you have to do, and anyways, back to your regularly scheduled video. So Antonio Brown just signed with the New England Patriots, because of course he did. Why wouldn't that be the outcome with all this craziness going on? I mean, under the circumstances, this might be the most crazy thing that's ever happened in the offseason period. I mean, just thinking about it, Andrew Luck retired at 29 years old, and that was the second most crazy thing to happen this offseason. I mean, it's truly ridiculous. I think it's just an unbelievable situation. I mean, for one thing, I thought the Oakland Raiders actually, when they made a trade, I thought they got a steal. Getting one of the best wide receivers in the game for just a 3rd and 5th round pick, that seemed like a steal to me. I figured it was a low-risk situation where worst case scenario is pretty much what happened. I mean, worst case scenario was they have to cut him before the season starts, and then okay, you lose a 3rd and 5th round pick, something that's not ideal, especially when you are rebuilding, but also a small price to pay for a chance at getting one of the best receivers in this league. And so when they cut him and all this craziness happened, I was kind of like, well, that's unfortunate for Oakland, but at the same time, I still am going to sit here and say, you know what, that was the right move for Oakland. I mean, I said it was the right move at the time and it was worth the risk. I still feel that way even though it didn't work out. I'm not going to be results oriented and say, look at how dumb the Raiders are, when at the time I defended the move. And so of course, if I like the move then from the Raiders, I obviously love this move for the Patriots. I mean, again, it's the kind of situation where it's a low risk, high reward type situation. Is Antonio Brown, without a doubt, probably going to make some YouTube video in the future that just demonizes the Patriots? Probably. In fact, I have a really hard time imagining that at the end of this, Antonio Brown still likes the Patriots organization. It seems like whether it's in a week from now or in a couple years from now, at a certain point they will have an ugly breakup. But hey, for New England, if you can get Antonio Brown for a good couple years and then have that ugly breakup, I think that that's definitely worth the risk in my opinion. To those of you asking my opinion on Antonio Brown and all of his antics, I won't really be talking about that because, as I've said before, I'm not really in the business of deciding who's a good person and who isn't. It seems like at the very least he's probably a lot to work with, but I tend to focus on the X's and O's here on this channel. However, yeah, talking about the X's and O's, there's one more thing that has to be mentioned. Antonio Brown fits into this Patriot system. He fits into this Patriot system really well. Like, I mean really well. He's almost the perfect receiver to have in this New England system. Like, what is the New England system? It's all about having guys make short routes, be able to cut quickly, be able to pick up some yards after the catch, and that's what Brown just thrives in, you know? The system is a lot of plays like this, where on this one, it's going to be a cover 2 man, and they have a receiver running a curl route right over there. And after this ball is snapped, Dorsett's going to run this route pretty well. I mean, it's a curl route, he does a very good job of cutting out at the right time, and he creates some separation. Not the most difficult route in the world to throw to, but Brady is never going to miss these types of throws when it's that much separation. He does hit his receiver, and Philip Dorsett is able to pick up a solid gain on that one. So that's the kind of plays that the Patriots like to run. It might not seem like much, but basically the reason I'm bringing this up is because if you can get open 7 yards down the field, then Brady's going to hit you every time. I mean, I don't think I've ever seen Brady miss a 7-yard pass down the field. Of course, I'm over-exaggerating. Everyone has missed those throws, but having a guy like Antonio Brown, who's just going to get open so consistently on those plays, will just do so much for an offense. Especially this New England Patriots offense that has Tom freaking Brady as their quarterback. I mean, this is a match made in heaven, I think. Of course, the downside is Antonio Brown tends to bring a lot of drama. At least that's what he's done so far in his career, and the Patriots are pretty much drama-free. I mean, I feel like if Bill Belichick was giving a speech in the locker room and then Antonio Brown went on Facebook Live and the whole speech got recorded and put out there to the world, we probably wouldn't hear from Antonio Brown ever again. But again, I go back to it's a low-risk situation. You're not giving up anything to get Brown, so why not take a shot? In fact, you're only paying him a guaranteed $9 million. I think it's $15 total that he can earn up to, but it's only $9 million on paper. So if you don't get him, yeah, that hurts, but it's not the end of the world by any means. It really isn't. New England also likes to run a lot of plays like this, where if you look at the top half of the screen, that's where Chris Hogan is, and clearly the corner is playing very far off of him. So what Brady will do when he sees something like this is kind of the thing that we always just when watching the game kind of wonder why don't they do this more often, is he's just going to take the snap and throw it directly to Hogan and see if Hogan can pick up some yards here. And so Brady takes a snap, quickly gets it over to Hogan, and he picks up a couple of yards, and now the corner is in position to make a tackle. It's a first down and 10, so, worst case scenario, you gain 3 yards, and then it's second down and 7, that's still a solid play. However, best case scenario is something like this, where Hogan's going to break the tackle and be able to pick up the first down just like that. Because Brady loves to run those types of plays, and then as a corner, you kind of have to say, okay, I can't play off him here, I kind of have to take a couple steps in. But if you take a couple of steps in, then he can beat you deep. We saw Pittsburgh do things like that a lot with him, and I think Pittsburgh will also do things like that a lot with him, just largely simply because that's kind of what kind of a player he is. He really thrives in those situations, so why not use him in a situation that he thrives in? So that's just kind of how him being on the field should help the Patriots, but there's actually one more way I think he could help New England. What's one thing that Bill Belichick always seems to look for in players? He likes to get smart players, and there's no doubt about it, Antonio Brown is a very smart player. Again, we're just talking on the field, have your own opinions about him off the field, but on the field, he has a very high football IQ, and having guys with high football IQ really helps this New England offense. Like, what's going to happen here is it's going to be a cover 3 zone, and once again, New England's going to have Chris Hogan. He's going to be the guy to watch here, as he's going to run a route that's going to try to get in between a gap in coverage right over there. If he gets open for a split second, Brady can hit him, and they can potentially pick up some yards. That's the way this play is supposed to work on paper. However, after this ball is snapped, it's just not going to work out too well. New York did a pretty good job of sniffing it out. As you see, there's guys both in front of Hogan and behind Hogan, so there's really nowhere for Hogan to go. If New England just tried to get the guys who ran the fastest 40 time and didn't really look at anything else, well, then maybe that receiver would just sort of stay where he's at, or just continue running in any direction and not really get open. But Hogan's going to do a very smart thing on this play. He fakes as though he's going to the bottom half of the screen, then runs up to the top half of the screen, gets wide open, and they're able to pick up a solid gain on that one. So that's what New England looks for in a receiver. And quite frankly, Antonio Brown checks off all of those boxes. I mean, he's explosive off the line, he's quick, he can make guys miss, and he is a very high IQ football player. I mean, watch, let's show some examples of him doing exactly what would fit into that New England offense perfectly, where this play is going to be a cover 3 zone, and Brown is going to be running that route right there. So again, could get in the gap in coverage, kind of underneath the zones in coverage right there in the middle of the screen, so that's the way this play is supposed to work. And one thing you'll see Brown is just how explosive he is and how quickly he's going to get open and make this catch. Very good job by Brown, and they've already gained a couple of yards. So already a solid play. But, now there is a Chief who's in the area and could make a tackle, and oftentimes, if you are a receiver, you're not going to break too many tackles. However, Antonio Brown is not like many receivers. This guy breaks a lot of tackles. And watch how he is able to get around that Chief and just pick up a couple, maybe 1 or 2 extra yards. Nothing crazy, but those things do build up, and that is something that the Patriots look for in a receiver. Because that play wasn't really designed for him to be able to break tackles, but he was still found a way to break a tackle right there. It's things like that that he brings to the table and that he will bring to the New England offense. And one last play I want to talk about, one thing you saw Pittsburgh do a lot is plays like this, where it'll send 2 receivers out, and what's going to happen here is that the number 2 receiver is actually just going to go out to block that Chief right there, and then it'll just be a quick pass to Brown, and we'll see how much yards he can pick up. This is actually relatively similar to that first play I showed you, but with the main exception being that there's 2 receivers in that area, one of which is going to be blocking, which could kind of give Brown a little bit more space potentially. However, this is not going to work out very well. After the ball is snapped, a Chief sniffs this one out perfectly. I mean, as you see right here, there's nothing Brown can do at this point, right? I mean, there's a Chief right on him. This is going to be a very tough play for Brown to even get back to the line of scrimmage. But one thing I love about Brown on the field is look at his footwork here. I mean, look at how he just gets away from that Chief and is still able to actually pick up the first down on a crucial 3rd down situation. That was 3rd down and 1 right there. So if he does get tackled behind the line of scrimmage, well, then they have to either punt, kick a field goal, or go for it on 4th down. None of those situations are ideal. So, you can love Brown, you can hate Brown, but there's no doubt about it, this guy is a tremendous football player. I know some of you might be interested to hear what I personally feel about Antonio Brown the person, but honestly, I'm not really interested. I really just care about football, to be honest. Usually I don't care about drama whatsoever unless it actually has some impact, and in this situation, it actually did have some impact. So that's really the only reason I'm bringing it up. I wouldn't have made a video on Antonio Brown had he not gone to a different team, just because I don't really care that much. And if you are someone who is very interested in Antonio Brown and the whole drama of the situation, there is no shortage of people talking about the whole drama of the situation. But for me personally, I'm just interested in the X's and O's, so that's all I really talked about on this video, save a couple of comments here and there. So that's my position on it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video of me talking about just the X's and O's of Antonio Brown for the most part, and as always, thanks for watching.